Well, hi. This is an interview about what normal people think of Christians. All right, Scott, I'm not saying that you're normal,
Exactly. I was going to say that might be a mistake.
but at least you don't identify with the Christian populace of America.
No.
Good. So, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? You you were born at an early age.
Yeah, like most people, I came from, my mother. And basically, I was born, raised in Hadley, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Siblings?
I have two brothers, a sister, and a half-sister.
Whoa.
So, which I guess back then still wasn't that unusual.
No.
But,
good Catholic families where I grew up
no.
usually had 15, 18, 20.
Well, my mother's family, there were 7 or 8 of them, and but they were a farming family, so
Yeah. Raise
you needed to you also raised free help.
Yep.
So that's what you did.
Anything else? College?
No college, high school graduate as far as I went. I guess I could say that maybe I've sort of gone from job type to job type. I guess I get bored with things, or I get disenchanted with things. I worked in an office for years, a couple different offices, and that was probably for about, 12 years, and I got sick of that, and then I went and just dropped everything and moved into the carpentry field with my family.
So your family did some carpentry?
Yes, they do. Pretty much, yeah. My uncle's a carpenter, my brother's a carpenter, and second cousin. So there's quite a few of us.
Okay. Let me think. What's the most important thing that you think you do in life, or what do you value the most?
Well, that's to me is two different questions. See, so it's like I would say, like personally, I value the most. I value my relationship with my wife, and I would say I love free time. I'm lazy by nature, but I think what's important is I don't know. I think what's important is that just trying to do your best, and maybe trying to do, I think everybody inherently in a way would like to make some type of difference somehow. I guess in whatever they do, maybe want to leave a mark.
Yeah.
A name or whatever, something other than just, hanging out on the corner with a cardboard sign saying I need help and I'm homeless. I guess you want a little bit more, your life to mean, I think, a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
But to everybody, I think what that's defined by is different.
It certainly is. I've met people who have to ask, what's your purpose in life?
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of the guys that our daughter dated when she was growing up. And his purpose in life, he said, well, I've always wanted to be a forklift operator. It's probably one of the first times in life I really prayed, please, not him.
But the world needs forklift operators.
It does.
You can't knock it. It's an honest job.
It is.
Not everybody can do it.
Nope.
No.
I don't know if I could without spilling.
Oh, right. So
washing machines.
The world's got a lot of lawyers. We don't need more lawyers.
Anything else you value that's important to you? Wife, Chelsea?
Yeah, my wife. I mentioned Chelsea. I love animals. Animals, things like animals, the environment are very important to me.
Oh, that's good.
I'm a little bit warped that actually, you would say probably that I'm warped. I value those more than human beings. In
human relationships.
Yes. Well, no, just the human population in general.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Have you had any religious experience in your past?
Yeah, I was raised as a Protestant.
Oh, a what?
A Protestant.
Okay.
The one you just show up on Sunday. You go home.
Oh,
There's
yes.
nothing else really that, as far as I can understand, there's nothing else that goes to being a Protestant other than showing up. As far as I understood it, anyway.
How was it helpful to you being a Protestant, or was it?
I don't feel that it was. I mean, um, you know, in my family, between our siblings, it was more of a way to make my grandmother happy and to get us out of the house on Sunday, so we weren't bothering my parents. It wasn't reinforced at home. My parents did not go. My father was raised as a Catholic, but he was not a practicing Catholic by any means. My mother really, you know, didn't believe in a lot of it, but I don't know whether she did it to please my grandmother or, again, really more to get us out of the house, because certainly there weren't discussions about those things. And usually anytime it comes up to this day, it's, you know, the consensus in my household, and not just my wife and I, but, you know, my siblings, my mother, it's just that it's
worth
bogus.
Have you met any genuine Christians? Any thoughts on them?
If I met any, you know, that's really tough to say. I mean, I know, like, my uncle's a guy who goes to church all the time. You know, actually, you know, I did work with a woman who was definitely, I would say, a good poster child for what you would supposed to be considered a good Christian. Very nice lady, but her conversations with her were peppered a lot with, you know, prayer or hope or lots of positive things, I guess, but things that I didn't really, you know, they didn't do anything for me, basically. Nice lady, like I said, but so, I didn't find anything.
Good thoughts, but no connection.
Oh, not at all. No. I just believe that, you know, if that's something you believe in, that's fine. If that works for you, it doesn't really work for me.
How do you view Christianity on the whole? I probably opened up a bomb here.
I would say that I view Christianity as I view almost all religions, which I just overall think that there are some good qualities, but overall I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing overall for humans in general anymore. I think it's antiquated, and I think we need to move forward. And I think religion in general is keeping us back from moving forward.
Expand more, right? You know.
Okay, look at it this way. It's okay. You have, you know, I'm a person who's more like, I guess I would say, science based. You know, I think it's wrong that there are, you know, parts of this country where you can't even, you know, you have to teach creationism in line with, you know, at the same time as evolution, and I just think that's wrong. I think that even though we're supposed to separate church and state in this country, especially, that the Christians have a very, very large foothold in everything that we do, including our laws. I mean, how long ago was it that because of old, you know, Pilgrim Blue laws, you couldn't even have, you know, you couldn't buy liquor on Sunday. You couldn't have the stores open, anything like that. That were still religious based, which,
ancient.
You know, it's, you know, time moves forward.
So religion holds people back from growing, or is it detriment?
I think maybe both. Not everybody, certainly. I think that there are certainly people out there who are able to look at both. But I think that a lot of people use it as a tool because they're scared. They don't want things to change. There's a lot of people who don't want the world to move forward. There are people who would love the world to stay as 1952 forever, in terms of values. And I don't think that religion in of itself, even Christianity, necessarily teaches you good values. There's a lot of people who tout themselves as good practicing Christians who are not good people. I don't want to point any fingers, but I'm sure everybody could probably think of some people off the top of their head.
Gee, I couldn't think of any more than maybe 500.
Right.
Never mind. If you could summarize the purpose of Christian religion in a sentence or two, what would you say the purpose of it is?
I think Christian religion started, like all religions, as a way to control people and answer things that couldn't be answered. That's my simplistic answer on it.
You think it's
nowadays I think people still use it as a very large form of control. I think there are also, again, like anything that probably when it started, there were definitely good qualities to it.
Yeah.
You know, you need it. There's something tribal about that in the way of like it brings people together in a way. You have a common bond. But I think that people can still have those common bonds without religion, regardless of what that religion
Without
would be.
an external reference point to God.
Right. I think that, that's what it is. I think it's very simple to say, like, we all have this in common. But, I think when Christianity formed, most people were all doing the same thing anyway. They were pretty much all farmers. You're all just raising families. You already had a lot of things in common, but I don't know.
Yeah. Or soldiers.
Yeah, one or the other, I guess, yeah.
So do you think Christianity has anything to offer beside shared common values?
In a modern world? No. I don't think there's anything that you can go and learn through Christianity or Judaism or being a Muslim or Hare Krishna, whatever it is that you can't.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter. Yeah. Even Satanism, whatever your thing is, man. You could find it elsewhere, but I think that a lot of people use it. If you've been raised, I just think if you've been, I know a lot of people who, and I think about it, I do know more Christians, and especially I know more Catholics. And there's one thing that I know about Catholics that's very weird, is I almost feel like most Catholics that I've met are brainwashed individuals, in that they believe the dichotomy, or that's not the right word, but they believe the things that they were taught, and they'll enforce it on other people, but then they'll go, well, I don't believe that part. And I've actually had, debates with people like that where I go, well, if you're a Catholic, you can't say, you can't call yourself a Catholic and say, well, I believe when the Catholic Church says this, but not that. It's like the Catholic Church is like, whatever the Pope says is law. You can't, but these people, they don't even go to church. They don't even go on Christmas, but they're like, oh, I'm a Catholic. But,
Yeah.
how can you,
Cultural Catholicism?
I guess, I don't know. It's weird. But I think that's because they, it was they were brought there as kids.
Yeah.
And it was basically bored into their head. That you had to do these things. I don't know. Again, I was raised a Protestant, so I don't know what I was told.
You ever been to a Christian church service?
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts that you can repeat on camera?
Well, again, like I said, when I, as a Protestant, I guess to me it's like the most, I haven't been really like exposed to anything in the South, but around in the Northeast, anywhere that I've been, that basically, again, I don't want to make it sound totally anti-Catholic, but that's been my experience where it's, say you go to a Protestant service, or even like I went over to a christening, and what was they? Are they Baptists? Somewhere over in Florence, there's a church over there on 66. My wife has some friends there, and we went there, and it was just very simple. In Protestants, it was a very simple thing, and, you got around to it, but, it's like, Catholics have all of this, like, pomp and circumstance. They've got that nasty choking incense you've got to put everywhere all the time. You're up and down, and they do these crazy sing-songy things in Latin for no reason that, like, I just look at all these things and they're like, they're all just cut from the same cloth, even though they all consider them different. It's just a big joke to me that they're like, well, this is the only way to get into heaven is to do this. And that's what they sell to you. You have to be this, you have to be that. And there was an awesome joke that I heard one time, and I can't remember how it totally went. I wish I had it with me, but it was one of those email jokes that went around like about 15 years ago about this kid who was in, I think this is the right joke, where he was basically said that he was in a science class, and on his final exam they ask, is hell endothermic or exothermic? Just as a bonus question, do you believe hell is endothermic or exothermic? Now I can't remember which is one shrinks and one grows.
Yeah.
I think what it is it exothermic if it shrinks? Basically, he went into this long thing about like how hell has to be whichever the one is that grows, because considering every religion in the world tells you that you can't get into heaven unless you follow their religion, and since not everybody follows every religion, the only conclusion you could come to is that everybody must be in hell. So it's got to be huge. at that point. But the real gist of the joke was that, it actually has to be shrinking because the girl I wanted to sleep with said only when hell freezes over, and that hasn't happened yet. I wish I knew how that whole joke went, but it was much better told.
When you work that out, I'd like to hear it. Oh man, where am I here?
I'm sure I'm rambling way off topic.
No, you're on topic. Let's shift to some negative things. What problems do you see with Christianity? Control issues.
Control issues, homophobia, racism, ignorance. Ignorance is a big one that I find.
What kind of ignorance?
Ignorance? I think ignorance about a lot of the things in the way the world is, the way things work in the world. I think a lot of it is, it's like pink cloud daydream stuff sometimes. Like, I watched a documentary, which of course, when you watch a documentary, everybody knows that they're probably skewed one way or the other. But I watched this one about Jesus Camp, this was for extreme Christians who brought their kids here to do nothing but worship for a week and everything. And they all had to have this exercise where they felt like, the Holy Spirit moved through them and do the convulsing and everything like that.
Wow.
And there was this one kid who, he was from a very poor area and he wasn't very intelligent. His mother wasn't very intelligent. And, she thought that, this was the be-all, end-all. And one of the things that she mentioned was they interviewed her about global warming, for example. She said, and now granted, in her house, she had a television, a VCR playing VeggieTales. She had a refrigerator. And they said, well, what do you think about global warming? And she said, well, I think global warming and science is a bunch of bunkus. Only God can make any changes to the earth. We can't do anything. The Bible tells us so. I'm not saying all Christians are like that, but as long as I feel religion exists, there are people like that. And some people I think you're not going to be able to educate no matter what. But it's just a scary prospect to think of somebody saying, science is bull, even though you're using it all. Because, the refrigerator was created by science. The television is created by science. All of these things that if I think that, religion had its way, even like a couple hundred years ago, we'd still think that the universe revolved around, and the sun revolved around the earth.
Yeah.
There are things that...
500 years ago.
Yeah. And I think that overall, these are what I mean by they keep us back. And, there is such a thing as accelerating too fast. People are scared. People don't like change that happens too fast.
Okay.
But, I don't know. I just look at it as there's still things like that. And a lot of the world is like that. I think a lot of the Middle East is very... And, they're not Christian, obviously. But I just see religion overall as a modern detriment. And
they're killing us over there.
Mm-hmm.
Solution to the problem?
Well, we went over and killed a lot of them for a long time, too.
Long time.
Way before this century.
Sure.
I mean, for thousands of years we've been over there.
Yep.
Fighting over supposed promised and religious land, which...
Earn your way to heaven by going to Jerusalem and killing a Muslim.
Exactly.
That was it.
Slaughtering the barbarians and
yes.
Yeah.
Of course,
the
then
non-Christians.
Turks and Syrians came over and took over all of southern Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting.
Well, I remember, well, even look at the Spanish Inquisition. Actually, I remember when I went to Germany, my friend's girlfriend, who was from there, we stayed with her mother. And we had some to drink, and she was not a person who went to church all the time, but she was very, very much Catholic. And we got into this huge debate over, her side was the Catholic Church is great. I said it's very, very bad. And basically it came almost, I think, to blows where I got thrown out of this house. I was very rude about it, I guess, but I just didn't like that, she was believing all these things where she was like, the Christian Church has never done anything, or the Catholic Church has never done anything bad. And I listed off all these things. And she's like, well, they made up for that. And I said, well, I'm sure that's a comfort to all the people that are dead. They made up for it. They're all in heaven. I guess that's fine. Does that make it okay? I don't know. It's,
no, I know. How would you change the Christian faith to make it more acceptable to our society today?
I guess that depends on where you live. You know, there are some people who don't have a problem with it the way it is, and I don't know. I just look at it as, what do you want to get out of it? I mean, I think as a Christian, I think that you're supposed to follow whatever I haven't had anything to drink either. It was terrible.
Jackson?
No, I'm good. I think a Christian is supposed to, in a way, follow what the Bible says, but the Bible changes. The Bible has changed. I mean, again, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but the Catholics love to go, you know, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. Oh, and you know what? Now suddenly you can. Oh, wait a minute. What about all those other people who couldn't do it?
Yeah.
So, accessible, I guess, in the sense like, I don't know. I think that if people are following it now, and I think that if you changed it, it wouldn't be what you want it to be anyway. So it's not really like, I don't think that if you want to be a Christian and you want to have that as a religion, I don't think it should change. I think you need to stick to your guns, and either you're going to get people who believe what you believe, or you're not. And I don't think that you should be changing your ideals if that's what you believe. If you're a Christian that believes that, you know, that the planet, you know, that if you're Mike Huckabee and you believe that the world is basically the Bible to a T, you know, the literal interpretation of a Bible, I think saying, well, you know what, actually it's, you know, it's all speculation, and I'm not sure you'll get more people, because I think more people will go, well, wait a minute, you're basically admitting that it's a bunch of bumpkus. I think you have to believe in it what it is. I don't think it should change. Well, sorry.
Let's shift back to you a little bit.
Okay.
If you could change something, anything about your own life, what would you change?
I wish that, you know what, my answer is going to be kind of religious. I'm going to say I wish that I believed in myself more and had more faith in myself. Not necessarily in my beliefs. I think that, unfortunately, my being opinionated isn't something that I unfortunately need more belief in. I probably could use less on that, but I think that I don't know. I think maybe in a way, like, I guess being more positive about myself. I think a lot of people feel negatively about themselves nowadays, but they don't really think about it, you know. And I think about it probably too much. That I always wish that maybe I'd done more or something. I don't know.
What bothers you most in life?
What bothers me most in life?
Beside this interview.
Oh, no, this isn't bothering me. I would say, again, I'm going to go back to it. It's ignorance as a whole of the human race. The human race as a whole bugs me the most. The indifference to things of like, well, that takes place, you know, well, I don't really care about, you know, that there's an oil spill there. That doesn't affect me because I make a lot, like the Koch brothers, I make a lot of money. What do I care? You need the oil, I give it to you. It's things like the environment. People aren't concerned enough, I think, about the environment. They aren't concerned enough about, and that's just, they aren't concerned about anything. People don't know. Human beings, I think, we like to perceive that we're better than the animals, but we're actually worse than the animals, in my opinion. We have the ability to far see things, and we don't. We only think about what's right in front of us. We only think short term. We don't think about what's going to happen. You know, we go, okay, well, you know, we need this. So 50 years down the road, that's somebody else's problem to worry about. But I need it now. I don't need to worry about things.
Global warming.
Global warming is one thing, but it's not even just global warming. It's pollution. It's, you know, it's pollution. It's I'm not a vegetarian. I eat meat. It's just an overall, you know, endangered species. Nobody cares about things like that enough. You know, they're more worried about like, oh, was American Idol on tonight? It bugs me that more people are concerned about what's on their television than anything else that's going on as a community wherever they live. Because now we've set up such a government where it's more like, you know, that's somebody else's problem. None of this is my problem. I go to work, I pay my bills, you fix it. I don't. You know?
That's why we pay government.
I think that's what some people believe, even though they don't want government to be involved. It's very weird.
Yes, it is. You fix it.
Right.
We pay our taxes, now you fix it. Oh, did I mention that we caused it?
Oh yeah. Well, not me. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't driving my Hummer around that gets 4 miles to the gallon. I can afford that. That's
No,
okay.
it's now, Hummer 2 is up to 11.
Oh God. Yeah. I guess that's irresponsibility and ignorance are the two things. And not to toot my own horn. I'm no different.
Mm-hmm.
I do it too. We all do.
Last question. Let's just for a minute assume that there's a God who exists. There's a big jump.
Sorry.
You're laughing, I know. If you could sit down with God over a fine dinner and ask him any questions, what would they be?
I'm afraid I'll be hit by lightning if I ask those questions. Right now.
Well, it is raining.
There's so many questions that you could ask. I think the first question would be, like any human being, is you want to know why. And I think if as a human being, it doesn't matter what comes after why. The most important question, I think, to anybody who's a thinker would be why. And that's what we want to know. Why? Why am I here? Why is all of this? Why did you do it this way? Why are there nipples on men? Why are there, why did you, okay, if, the best part to me about, like, religion is, like, okay, Christianity is a late religion. There were so many other religions that existed long before Christianity. Christianity came along, you take the Egyptians, you take the Greeks, you take the Romans, you take the Incas, you take the Mayans. Everybody had multiple gods. And Christians came along and said, and the Jews came along and said, you know what, I'm better than you. I have one God who does it all. Who beats all of your other gods.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jews had their own thing. And then the Christians came along and said, well, I've got pretty much that same God. And then they went and they stole everybody else's holidays to turn in their own holidays in order so those people couldn't follow it anymore. The pagans and everything like that. So I guess that would be my why.
Why? One of my favorite, quotes is from Mark Twain, who just asked, or said that the two most important days of your life are the day that you're born and the day that you find out why.
Mm-hmm.
I thought,
yeah,
a lot of people never ask that second question. Well, they never ask the first question.
Right.
Except to get birthday gifts.
Right.
But the second one, why am I alive? People don't ask that. You have any questions for me or anything you want to ask?
Well, I guess so. Well, like I said before in the beginning, I was just, other than research, I was wondering, I feel like in a way like you're doing market research. And I've worked with market research, and I know how it works where you try to, I did like surveys and stuff where you ask people questions in order to go, well, can I get more people if I do this? So I'm curious just to know whether you want to do this because you'd like more people to be Christian, or you want to know why more people aren't Christian, or, I don't know. Again, why? That's always my biggest question. It has been my whole life with everything. And it's gotten me in a lot of trouble, too. Why? I've had that problem with employers. Why do you want me to do that?
I asked that question in high school and college, and it was like, would you just stop asking the question? This is the way it is. I said, but why is it the way it is?
Right.
This is part of a project. I have a passion about getting Christians out of church and into the lives of normal people, and being able to both express their faith and communicate it in ways that normal people can understand. Because either you get...
So you don't want crazy tent revivalists being the voice of Christianity anymore.
God, please.
They are you know what? The scariest thing to me is they're the minority, but they're the loudest voice. And that's the worst thing in this country, is that the smallest people with the loudest voice are running things.
Yeah, I know.
Because we have television to watch. I can't get involved with that.
So I want Christians out of churches and living in their communities as genuine Christians and not plastic, fake, what I call charter members of Jerks for Jesus.
Well, how do you define a Christian? What would you define as a Christian? Because, and I thought that was actually one of the questions on there, but I don't think you asked me that. what is a Christian? How do I define a Christian? So I was going to say probably your definition of a Christian might be different than my definition.
What's yours?
My definition of a Christian would
Yeah.
just be simply like you have to, not have to. I would think that you have a set of morals to be good that you're supposed to follow, and you basically have to believe in God and or Jesus. That to me is a Christian. A Muslim can't be a Christian because he believes in a different God. So a Christian to me is a very specific thing beyond just being a good person. There's a couple of set of caveats that also have to go with it.
There are.
Obviously, so.
For me, a Christian would be someone who earnestly seeks to live by the principles God has set down for us to live by on this planet.
What if those principles are basically contradicted in the Bible like they are?
Contradictory? Well, there are.
New Testament, Old Testament, huge contradiction. Eye for an eye, God. Turn the other cheek, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I find it funny that there are a lot of people, especially the tent revivalists that I talk about, who go Jesus, 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 but really are Old Testament. Let's go kill them.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure. For me, it's a Christian is someone who seeks to live a life that makes a difference in our society.
Okay.
And does so with the motivation that God created everything.
Mm-hmm.
Our job's to take care of it and heal wounds,
Mm-hmm.
to heal the rifts between people on the planet, each other, and to heal the vertical relationship between people and God.
So do you believe that fundamentally, though, Christians obviously need to worship and be in church?
No.
No. Okay.
They need to seek a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. That may or may not involve going to church. As for worship, I think Christians will. It's for us. It's like falling in love. If you fall in love, it's not that you're worshiping God. You're just expressing how you feel. You just love Him.
Fair enough.
Actually, one of our taglines for a while was, I forget what we were then, but it was just loving the hell out of people. And that was literal. People said, wow, that really makes sense. So now we're thinking of rebranding ourselves and calling ourselves Kick-Ass Christianity. Where,
Well, I hope that works out for you. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you have a long, hard road ahead of you.
Oh, always. If it were easy, I wouldn't be doing it. I'd just be a typical guy that takes a church and preaches sermons out there. I think we're done. No, this was good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were very, very helpful.
I could have gone a lot more.